Hello, everybody, and welcome to this channeling chat today with my magical friend Megan. Super excited to have you here. Thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes, me too. It's going to be great. And so, before we get into answering questions on channeling, I have a question for you. So, who is your favorite magical person? This could be a wizard or a sorceress, an enchantress, an alchemist. It can be somebody from a cartoon or mythological history, but who is that for you? And you take as much time as you need.
Okay, yeah, because I like you could see the gears turning right
Yeah.
now.
Like, oh, let me go through the
Um,
Rolodex of my mind. Yeah.
Immediately I want to I don't have any like in particular, but my
Mhm.
favorite magical being are mermaids. That's what I say.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think it's mermaids for you?
I don't know. I've always felt a real strong connection to them. The Little Mermaid was my favorite Disney movie
Oh,
as a
yeah, love.
And the I think the freedom and the whole like I think being underwater is like a whole other world. And
Mm.
it's always been something that kind of felt like home, if I'm being honest.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have a book recommendation for you. If you
You
like
do.
mermaids, okay, not promo or book. Okay.
Let's hear it. I love it.
So there's a series called The Sunken City. I actually
Oh,
found out about it on TikTok, and so I ordered one, and halfway through the first book, I went ahead and ordered the other two. It's about pirates and witches and mermaids and like a world underneath the sea. You would love it. It's fantastic.
yeah.
I
I
got a lot
love
of
all
downloads
of that
from it.
stuff. Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely recommend. I'll send you the info about it.
Okay.
Or anybody else that wants to read it. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you think that mermaids are reflective of your personality?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say deeply connected to emotions because water for me represents emotions, right? And Ariel, she was very curious about the human world,
Mhm.
and I kind of identify that, but with the water world, like a lot of our oceans aren't explored completely at all. We have no idea what's down there. And I don't know, I just think it's really magical and all the creatures and the bioluminescence and the tropical fish. I don't know. It's fascinating to me. And so I think curiosity and then the emotional aspect of it. So,
Oh,
yeah.
you made a lovely picture.
Oh, thanks.
Like I want to go hang out with the mermaids.
Yeah, let's go scuba
Uh,
dive.
do you think that you have a lot of unexplored facets within self?
Oh, probably.
Yeah, and not just like trauma, but like other like fun, magical, multidimensional things.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I think I would call a forever student, like
Hmm.
forever learning and my curiosity is off the charts for an adult woman. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I do.
it's like, I wonder about that. And like my thoughts are so funny because I'll be like, I wonder if clouds have consciousness. Like I'm just like,
Yeah, it's
I
very
don't know, very
exploratory.
exploratory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You ever
Yeah.
meet people and like they have questions about things, but then they don't dig into it further? And I'm like, how? Because that would vex me forever. Like I have to know the answer. Like, what do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
Well, that's kind of, ADHD where you have one thought and then you
Yeah,
bounce to another one. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, so as we get into our channeling chat here, I wanted to ask you, what does channeling mean to you?
Okay. Yeah. So channeling, I did think about this one quite a bit. And I like to compare it to like having a conversation with a really close friend and where you don't have any insecurities, you don't have any fears, or you're not worrying about them judging you. It's like a comfortable, free space to just say whatever, compared to like if you were in a room with your boss where you had to like be a little bit more careful about
Put
what
on
you say.
airs.
Yeah, yeah. And so I don't know, I would call it like free flowing. And I feel like it's more natural than what most of us really realize?
Hmm. I
Yeah.
have never heard anybody describe channeling in that capacity before, and that was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Just having that
I thought
ability to be
about that one.
open. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel that sometimes people are really trepidatious about channeling because they're so worried about different things that can come through, but sometimes it's not always just different things like entities and beings. It's sometimes your own consciousness that's coming through of trauma and behavioral patterns and triggers and icky yucky emotions and all these things are shadow aspects that we don't always want to look at. But the way that you described it was even if those things do come up when you do get into channeling, it's coming from a very non-judgmental space and unconditional love. That's how our higher self and our spirit team's always going to speak to us. They're not going to come in and be like,
Yeah.
that's the
Usually
trauma.
it's
That's the
in
trauma talking. Okay. Whomever's trying to help you in your life, your different facets of self are always going to be doing it from a place of non-judgmental love. What are your thoughts on that?
yeah, yeah, openness. And it's almost like mothering energy. You know how,
Yeah.
and you might not know, but I feel like I can be my most authentic self around my mom. Like she's seen the bad, the good, the ugly of me,
Mhm.
and I can just say anything to her, and it's a comfort. It's a like you said, unconditional love, and it's not like it's always rainbows and sunshine,
Mhm.
right? you know but it's no fear of having to hide or alter things to where I think they'll accept it, you know what I mean? It's like like for example, I was doing a reading the other day and I said cheese. It's like cheese, that's random, and
Like with
turns
no
out,
other context.
yeah, no other
Just okay.
context, just cheese.
Okay.
And I like at this point, I just don't question it anymore, you know what I
Sure.
mean? But well, come to find out, she was diabetic and she's like, "Oh, we were talking about self-care."
Mhm.
It's like, "Oh, actually, I really like to eat cheese as a snack and it's really high in protein."
Mhm.
And I was telling her how she needed to be caring for herself a little bit better, right?
Mhm.
And then cheese popped in. And so I think it was like a good snack for her to
Or her higher self was like, cheese.
to
I tell her to eat the cheese. She needs the protein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, do you want to talk on a minute about since you're a proficient channeler about saying things when they pop up in your mind for clients and working through that fear and imposter syndrome and why it's
yeah,
important to do that?
yeah, that's a huge one. It comes with experience, right? And
Hmm.
I feel like everybody receives or channels differently than the next person. So all I can speak on is my experience, right? And so I would have to say it's just by trial and error. It's by getting the feedback at the end of the session where they say something and I had received that earlier, but I was too afraid to say it.
Hmm.
And it's a learning experience of, oh, I need to just trust myself. I need to just say it because I mean, you never know if it's going to be right until it comes out of your mouth, you know? And the way my sessions are set up, I kind of have them confirm or deny the information as
Hmm.
I'm going along, right? And so there's also another thing to be said about relaxing. I feel like when we get super uptight and we have all kinds of expectations about how a session's supposed to go, that actually blocks us. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And the more relaxed you are, the better it comes through in my experience. And so, like, for example, I said one time, um, I had seen visually, I get a lot of stuff visually. I'm very clairvoyant. And so I was doing a reading where I had my client's grandfather on her paternal side, so her father's side.
Hmm.
And we were getting into inner child stuff between her and her father. And I was like, I saw California clear as day in my mind's eye. And I go, this might be wrong, but is your dad in California? And she's like, yes. And so it's just like those little baby steps of like learning to trust it. That's what yeah, that's kind of how I've gotten. And I still struggle with, trusting myself. And every reading, it feels like I learned something a little bit more about how to let those walls come down.
Yeah. Do you
So
feel that your gifts were able to expand once you relaxed into yourself and trusted yourself a little bit more and then would just say the things? Because that usually comes hand in hand. It's like when we go
yeah.
over one of those fear humps, it's like, oh, I have all these other gifts that like I wasn't aware of beforehand.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in the beginning, when I discovered that I could actually do channeling,
Mhm.
that I was able to, I felt like, well, my mind was blown at first. And I was like, whoa, what else can I do? Like it was really
Mhm.
exciting and stuff. But then I found myself like, it was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure to get it right, get it all right. And so I felt like that kind of got in my way a little bit. And then I got some feedback from some other people who said, you're trying too hard.
Yeah.
You want it too much. And I was like, okay, I think you're right, because it came from multiple different sources. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay. And I was getting frustrated because it was coming through in bits and pieces. And finally, I think it was after I had a reading with you and you told me to schedule no growth days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you told me,
Like just be human. Like some days.
yeah,
Yeah.
just chill for a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
And so once I just like it will all happen in divine timing, that's when things really started opening up for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have had several sessions where I've said something really weird. It's not weird, but if somebody off the streets heard it.
Weird is
And
relative. Yeah.
yeah, and the person didn't understand what I was saying during that time, or it wasn't significant for them in the moment. And then a year goes by and they're like, oh, I need to tell you something. Like
Yeah.
that's why we need to just say the thing. And oftentimes those are trust anchors from somebody's higher self to that client, because how would you have known that? It's something so random that you
Right.
would have no way. And after they hear it, they're able to relax, like, oh, you a real psychic. You
Oh, like
actually
you're
have
legit.
you have the gift. Right? Yes.
And you never
Yeah.
know how it's going to land with them.
Mhm.
It might not make sense in the moment, like you were saying, but 2, 3 months down the line, you never know. It
Yeah,
could click into place. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
How did you get into channeling? How did you start that journey?
Well, it started with mediumship. That's what I do primarily, you know that. I had a friend invite me to a mediumship development course, and I actually didn't know what it was, but I was like, it's $15. I'm gonna go.
Okay.
And she she ended up bailing on me, so I went by myself, which
Oh,
is
that's awesome that you still went.
yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
definitely confirmation this is my purpose.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was I usually don't go to anything by myself, or I didn't back then, I do now, but
Mhm.
so I went and it was terrifying. But she ended up throwing us into the fire and, having us try to split up, give readings to each other.
And you
And
had never done that before, like in a group?
yeah, I remember going, one question, what if we can't do that?
Uh-huh. And she's like, "No,
And
you got it." She's like, "You got it."
yeah, she's
Okay.
like, just try to just have fun. And if nothing comes through, then, no big deal, right?
Mhm.
Well, something came through the very first time and I never forgot it and I got addicted, and addicted isn't the right word. I got
Yeah, I know what you
excited.
mean, though. It's like it's a yearning.
Yeah, it was like a passion came online and I was like, "Oh my God, this is for me?"
Mhm.
And so it's been 3.5 years. I'm still going to that same development course and I've opened my business and it's expanded and yeah, here I am. So
Well,
it's been
it was
a
finally
wild.
aligned for you to be there that day.
Yeah, it was it was definitely fate, destiny, I believe.
I
Yeah.
think it's a testament to that oftentimes we'll tell ourselves before we even try, I'm not going to be able to do this. And then you end up wowing yourself. That's happened
Yeah.
to me multitudes of times throughout my lifetime of, oh, if I just put myself in the situation, I can do it or I'll figure it out every
Right.
time.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
We're way more capable than we give ourselves credit for, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could you tell everyone who might not be privy what mediumship means to you? Because I know mediumship can mean a bajillion different things, but
Yeah.
for you and what type of mediumship that you do specifically.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's basically connecting with your friends and loved ones who have crossed over into the spirit world, and you provide evidence of their existence beyond their bodies. You also provide like loving messages of encouragement. Um, and my readings, they're like a mixture of communicating with spirits that are connected to my client and intuitive information about them. So, like the one I was talking about earlier, we talked about her relationship with her father and how, she was estranged from him essentially. And so we talk about things that are going on in my clients' lives too that help them kind of either heal or become the best versions of themselves or encourage them to follow their passions, all kinds of stuff. It's so fun. I love it.
Yeah. Do your clients, are they privy to when they book sessions with you that their main intention might be, I'm going to connect with a past loved one, and they don't always know that, like, oh, we're going to do a whole session on me as well?
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
would say that's
Your higher self
accurate.
is like, go see Megan because you need something for you too, girl.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I feel like they don't know what to expect a lot of the
Hmm.
time. Because I'm just getting started, so I don't, like have a website or anything, but I do post on TikTok a lot and I talk about my readings. And so I guess if you happen to follow me on TikTok, then you would know kind of how they're set up. But unless you've seen some of that, you would have no idea, right?
Hmm.
A lot of my clients are referrals, and I work these psychic fairs local in the area. And so a lot of people know me from there. And with those are like, it's almost like speed reading. It's like 15 minutes. And it's just to give them like a little taste of what I can do, right? And then a lot of them come back, for longer sessions after that. So no, the long answer, short answer is no. I don't think they know. I don't think they know that we're going to get into stuff like that. I think they assume it's just going to be dead people.
What's your TikTok? And we're gonna say it again at the end, but since you said it, I want to make sure we put
Oh, yeah, it's just at Megan Tinajero. It's Megan, and then my last name Tinajero. So if you look me up by my first and last name, hopefully you'll find me that way. Yeah.
I'll put it in the show notes down here as well, so everybody, or the comments, so everybody can see.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So when you are at your they're not festivals, what did you call it?
Fairs, psychic
Fairs.
fairs.
Okay, fairs.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're at the fairs and you're doing your speed readings, are you tapping into people's past loved ones, or is that more swinging towards helping people with things in their lives, or is it kind of a combination or one or the other?
It's all of it.
Got
It's
it. Okay.
all of it. Yeah. And I'll find like one time and okay, so it started with the mediumship first. And I didn't even realize I could do the intuitive stuff until about a year in.
Hmm.
And I just posted a TikTok of the on this day, like memory
Hmm.
from a year ago. And I was talking about how we did an intuitive exercise in my mediumship development circle that I go to. And I was shocked with how much I knew about these strangers that were sitting across from me, like in their daily lives. And so ever since then, like it's been a year, right? Um, it's a combination. It's usually both. And at the fairs, I remember one time I had this girl across from me and I was like, "Do you have a cat?" And she's like, "Yes." I go, "Is it white?" She's like, "Yes." I go, "Is it female?" "Yes." And I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm just like
Mhm.
seeing how far I could go. I was really like, how far could I go with this? And I'm not even sure why I was getting information about her cat, but it could have been just like confirmation that I don't know you and I'm getting all this information from you.
Mhm.
And, I guess you would call that psychic information. And
Was her
so
cat still alive or had it passed on to
it
the other
was
side?
still alive.
Oh,
Yeah.
that cat said, "I need you to tell her something for me."
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, I could feel her like sitting on her lap and like petting
Oh,
her.
cool. Yeah.
So it blew my mind.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
do any type of pet psychic readings for pets that have passed on to the other side as well?
Yeah, I've read a bearded dragon before,
Oh, sweet. Okay.
which was cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool because you know how they can move their eyes
Mhm.
back? I felt like I was facing one way and like my eye was back this way.
Oh, wow.
And so it's about perspective, right? And I got the bearded dragon's perspective. It was really cool. And let's see, have I done any? I've gotten a dog before, and I think that's about it. I think I got a bird one time too. But yeah, that anybody can come through that has a soul. So yeah.
Have you been thinking about doing people's past lives or their different incarnations? Because technically, that's a version of them that's on the other side.
Yeah. Okay. So so
I
I
don't know. You could be
have
doing that too,
yeah,
Megan.
you should open it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have gotten like past life impressions.
Mhm.
Like, so, past life regressions are where you get hypnotized
Mhm.
and they kind of tell you about their own past life experience, right? But mine are like, I can tell if you have connections to Egypt, or I
Mhm.
can tell one time I read someone and I picked up on a past life and she was a male in that life and she was walking with a cane and she was somewhat of a rich man. And so I was able to pick up on like things about that life. Um, and let's see what else. Oh, I remember getting connections to ancestral lineages.
Mhm.
Like I could tell this one guy, he had Greek ancestors. And then after he got done with his reading, he looked up his family crest, and it was Greek. And I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
oh,
Oh, that's fun.
yeah, that's real good
Hey, it's good confirmation.
confirmation.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
confirmation. Yeah. Yeah.
So, so yeah, I can get past life stuff, I can get future information, and I have actually done concurrent running timelines too, but I don't get that as much.
I do. I do. Do you feel that? Okay, not to do a deep psyche analysis of your
Let's get into it.
abilities.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because you lean towards confirmation with other people for their loved ones on the other side, so the other person feels more confident because you know what's coming through, right? But for the other
Right.
persons, do you feel that there is a extra step to work through if you were going to be working with somebody in their past lives or co-currently running timelines because there's nobody saying, "Yeah, that's true, that's accurate."
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. You can't validate that.
Mhm.
It's like that requires another level of trust that I don't even think I've stepped into yet because I am relying on the validation of, did your dad, work in construction? No. You know what I mean? Like that's
Mhm.
kind of how my readings are done is with evidence of a person that actually existed that you knew. And so concurrent running timelines, that's hard. You'd have to really that's a new level of trust that I don't think I've really broken into yet. So,
Yes. I will say that, most of the work I do now, I wouldn't say most of it, but a large majority of it is past life stuff with people. And instead of relying on confirmation from the person that I'm speaking to, I rely on that oh my gosh, that confirmation from their higher awareness and their multidimensional self instead. And instead of reading the person that's in front of me, I read that version of them instead.
Oh,
And I get soul confirmation from like deeper within their fields.
that's cool. That's
That's what
cool.
I would do in those
Okay.
scenarios,
That's
because
a like a
this person
shift.
in front of you, you're not going to be able to read the same because they don't have that information yet. But those
Right.
higher awarenesses, they already can see that within their Akasha fields.
Huh. And I think you were the one that told me that I was like pulling on different chords
Mm-hmm.
of information, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's all channeling is really, is like
Yeah, it's just pulling
tuning
on
in.
cords.
Yeah, tuning into different, what would you call it? Like lines of information, I
Sure.
guess.
And
Yeah.
you can still get validation from their higher awarenesses or multidimensional self. You can ask them, is this true? Is this accurate? And they will tell you. Sometimes they'll tell me no. Or sometimes they'll say, but you need to look at it in this other perspective, or like, oh, you're kind of there. Let me show you something else. Like they'll guide you and direct you so you can see it with more clarity and precision.
Hmm.
But trust in them up there.
Yeah.
They will tell
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
That's what I think like about your sessions. I'm like, man, that's got to be hard to really just, it's got to be more challenging to trust the etheric, esoteric
Yeah,
knowledge.
because you get no confirmation from the human.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, props to you.
Well, it's also by implementing what I just told you too, of I don't need confirmation from the human here. I need confirmation from y'all up here instead.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And then
try that.
they give me the feedback like the human would hear, the client would hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, just different levels
Yeah, that's pretty
of chords.
cool. Different chords.
So why, and I guess I was going to say, why did you choose mediumship? But it sounds like mediumship chose you.
Yep.
Why did you continue to go down that path? Because there's so many different things that we can get into in spirituality, but it sounds like something's very near and dear to your heart. You've probably been doing it for a long time too, not just this incarnation, but
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the reason why I followed it is because of the way it made me feel.
mm,
It
yeah.
was like I was searching for something my whole life, and then I found mediumship and I was like, ah, this is it. And so now don't get me wrong, because I still went down different rabbit holes. Like I got certified in level 1 and 2 Reiki,
Hmm.
and I did past life regressions, and those opened up some, awarenesses within me. And I did a little bit of light language more recently, but I gotta be honest, I don't think now is the time for my light language to come online. I just didn't feel it like I did with
That
mediumship.
was me with Reiki when I first started. I was like, I'm
That
like, this is cool, but it's not the vibe for me right now. And then a year later,
yes.
it's like, oh, okay, we're good now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was Reiki for me too. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is cool and I can do it and I've done it before, but I
Hmm.
don't feel like this is what I'm here for in this lifetime. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. It does. I think that's also really important advice to share to other people of, hey, let's say that you have this one modality that makes you so incredibly happy and really fulfills your soul. You can still delve into other areas because all it's going to do is enhance what you're able to do in that one modality like so many
Right.
times over and make it very multidimensional because you're pulling in so many different aspects and so many different chords that you can
Yeah.
pull on, and the people that start to come into your field oftentimes are more awake in certain areas. And so you can see even more of people's Akasha fields. So like just continue to go towards the things that are calling out to you, even if they don't make sense of like, well, this doesn't have anything to do with my modality.
Right, right.
Like, no,
But
just
if
go
it
sit in it
lights
for a
you
little while.
up,
Right.
yes.
Yeah. Do
If
you
it's
feel like
fun,
all of those different things have kind of helped you curate the type of sessions that you do? Because it does sound like you do a lot of different things in one session.
yeah. Yeah, I touch on a lot of different stuff. So I've gotten future possibilities is what I like to call them. I've predicted things that have come true, and I never identified as a psychic before, but I definitely have some tendencies in there.
Hmm.
I I know that I'm capable of doing that. And so that's pretty cool. I feel so strongly that I'm meant to be a medium in this life. I feel, like you said, fulfilled with that aspect of like providing closure and healing messages. And I am getting into the Akashic records, I'm expanding that a little bit just so that I can help people in more than one way, right?
Mhm.
I always wanted to be a counselor when I was younger, a psychologist, and so
Cosmic psychologist is the way to
yes,
yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna copyright that.
Oh, you could take that. Okay. So I was hearing that you really enjoy giving people closure with their relationships with, people that have passed on to the other side. What else is it that gives you joy in helping other people connect to their past loved ones? Because sometimes it'd be happy and yay, and the other times a whole trauma session.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, it can really vary there.
I think I don't know. I think I always wanted to connect like one-on-one with people like on a deeper level. Like
Hmm.
I don't want to talk about the weather. You know what I mean?
I do.
I want to talk about what lights you do.
I do.
You know.
Yeah.
I want to talk about what lights you up. I want to talk about what scares you. I want to talk about, I've always had this like undercurrent of trying to improve myself and trying to improve the world. And so I think that's like might be a secondary purpose underneath there.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think that's been the driving force, but I couldn't deny how I felt inside when I found mediumship. And so I've just been following that. And it has led me to the Akashic Records, which I think is ultimately the overarching aspect of mediumship. Does that make sense?
It does. Hmm.
Yeah. Like I've been probably in Akashic Records my whole life and didn't realize it, and channeling my whole life and I didn't realize it. So,
Hmm.
yep.
I tell people they really overthink the Akashic records and connecting with them because it's like this big old umbrella that encompasses and it facets everything, and you don't have to always just be sitting here like Zen
Yeah.
master, like doing it. Like there's so many different ways that you can connect, right?
Yeah.
I will say that if you are an energy healer or coach or medium, whatever you call yourself, if you have a hyper fixation of being your most optimal version of self, working with other people in whatever type of capacity that is will accelerate you a million times over because it's a mirror
Yep.
effect constantly. And that's not saying that we need to like have conversations with people and say, oh, this is what's wrong with me, or all these different things. It's more so, what can I learn from this experience? How is this
Absolutely.
reflectory of me?
Yeah. Absolutely. You know what I find is that the people that I draw in have the same kind of traumas that I do,
Oh,
have
for
this.
sure.
Yeah, they have the same kind of experiences, and so then it's like they click something within my experience, because that's how mediumship is for me, is that these spirits, they come in and they use my memories, my experiences to mirror to something in my client's life, right? And so it has been really healing for me because I can see myself in my client, and and then it makes it more like it makes me more conscientious of my issues, my stuff. And not just the bad, but the good too.
Hmm.
The innate qualities that make me who I am. And then I can see that reflected in other people as well. My clients is like their optimal potential. So it's really cool. It's like I don't know, it's like they know there's some sort of pull where the spirit world knows that I can help this particular person, and they bring them to my table, or they bring them to my Facebook, or they bring them to my TikTok, and It's completely like, it's like the string theory. Have you heard that?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like that, like invisible lines. And
Everybody's interconnected with one another, whether you know it or not.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and we're all like helping us in this school.
Hmm.
We call Earth. Yeah,
Absolutely. Have
yeah.
you ever noticed that as you heal and grow yourself, that the clients that come into your energy field are like growing at a higher consciousness rate as well, and ability rate, and just so something I want to say to everybody else and to you, because you might experience on a bigger scale as you go along too, is there can sometimes be a grieving process of, well, I was helping people with all these things over here, and now that's not working.
Yeah.
Is because we're ever growing and evolving, and so your abilities and your consciousness. And so we have to be okay with riding that wave and having new sets of clients come in, because your consciousness is always going to be a couple steps ahead of whoever you're working with. So we can't be helping people that are 45 steps back. They need somebody that's closer
Yeah.
to their consciousness so that they understand what they're saying. And you have to step up as a coach and a mentor and a leader by pushing yourself outside of your comfortability zones of like, no, I can help this person, even though they're like really close to where I'm at.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's like video game levels, you know?
Hmm.
It's like, but I don't think we realize, maybe we do realize when we've made it to the next level. But like, the only example that I can think of, because it would be like starting out with just the spirit, just the loved ones and the friends that have crossed over. And then, like I said, opening up to intuitive information. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I can do it.
Past lives, and
Yeah.
running timelines.
Yes, yes, inner child,
Hmm.
higher selves, spirit guides. It was like the floodgates opened, right?
Hmm. That means
And
you
then
got to push yourself out of your own comfortability zone and say, "No, I can do it."
yeah, yeah. I'll never forget the first time I got a spirit guide. I was like, I don't know what this is. And but it was fun, and it felt angelic, and it
Mhm.
felt like someone was looking from up here, right? And they had the whole picture. And I don't know, it was just really cool making it to that other level of holy crap, I can do this too. And then coincidentally enough, the client started coming to me asking for, like what their gifts were.
Yeah,
And
because they recognize that within you. They see that. They're like, "Oh no, Megan knows how to get to this information."
yeah, or their
Yes.
souls know that, right? They
Yes.
bring them there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So what does channeling feel like to you? Whether that's physically or emotionally or spiritually, or what is that experience? Especially because okay, this is a side note question. I know there's a lot of questions. When you're speaking to somebody's past loved one, are you embodying their energetics within your own field, within your own body, or is it kind of like a conversation that all three of you are having with one another?
Mhm.
Because I think in media sometimes it's like, oh, you're going to get possessed.
Oh, I hate that word
Yeah,
possessed.
right.
Um, it's both. It's both.
The
It depends on
possession, you
the
get
spirit.
possessed. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm just
no.
kidding.
Well, kind
Yeah.
of. It's if I'm possessed by love, and
Okay.
well,
Right.
it's both. It depends on the spirit. It depends on how good my blend is with that spirit.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, sometimes it feels like I am the spirit that I'm communicating with.
That's cool.
Like one time I had somebody's grandpa, and I swear I felt like I was sitting in a recliner, and I had a newspaper, and these glasses were on the end of my
Oh,
nose.
cool.
And I was like, I am your grandpa right now.
I am your grandpa.
And other times it is more like I've channeled all kinds of people. Like some people, it's like I'm talking to them on the other side of the room.
Hmm.
And I mean, I don't know why that is. I assume that it would be because that spirit has some, you know, trepidations about coming close
Mhm.
or,
You're like, "I don't know you."
yeah, yeah. Like, I'm gonna shout from you,
Yeah.
shout to you from across the room. And sometimes it's just like feelings, and I have to put words on the feelings. And so it looks a little weird, but when I'm channeling, it's almost like I disassociate. It's like daydreaming for me. Like, you know, like when you get really tired and you just stare at the wall for a little bit.
Mhm.
Like that's what I look like when I'm giving readings. So it's kind of like blanking out my imagination and waiting for them to put something in there.
Yeah, kinda like you're in a trance, but you're also in, like, a 0 point within yourself of just clear open channel, and we're just waiting to receive whatever we need to receive.
Yeah, and like sometimes I'll ask them to come closer, you know, if I can't get a good sense. Sometimes they'll talk in just like visuals,
Mhm.
visual, and sometimes I can feel them run all through my body. Like I'll get
Mm.
full body chills. I'll get physical pains for like how they like I had one spirit who had chronic knee pain and I felt the knee pain in my
Mm.
body. So yeah, I think in some form I can get possessed, but it's not scary and it's not I haven't had any negative experiences and most of it is love and because they're coming through for you, the client, because they love you, because they have memories with you and it's really beautiful actually.
Yeah, I've had several experiences where I've POV'd as somebody's different incarnation or their inner child where I'm experiencing a memory that they had that they want me to see, but I'm actually tangibly in it looking through their eyes. And at
Yeah.
first it can be a little bit jarring. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, wait a minute. I'm me. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But I just for everybody, I've never had an instance where I have ever been hurt or harmed in any type of
Right.
etheric astral travels. Even when I do blip into somebody else's consciousness for a second, it's just so I can see and then I'm right out of it. Like there's no and I agreed to it. It's
Yeah.
not like they're just
Yeah.
like I'm like, no, I'm here. You paid me for the session. Like I
Right.
am
Right.
right.
Our intentions are powerful,
Yeah,
right?
but they're really just wanting to show you different memories or experiences. They're not trying to overtake you. So when we say that, we're saying
Right. Yeah.
silly goose. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not like demonic possession.
Yeah.
It's like
Sometimes with
grandpa.
those spirits, I'm like, I can't hear you. Can you please speak up, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it is like across the room or cross dimensions too, like you're
Uh-huh.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think one time they gave me the feeling of watching my children grow up. And I was like, oh, this must be a parent
Mm.
or a guardian of some sort because they pulled on that emotion. And I have gotten, you know, in the very beginning, I can separate myself from it now, but in the very beginning, I did cry in some sessions
Oh
because,
yeah.
yeah, because I was feeling the emotion of that spirit. So it was pretty
Well, and
cool.
a lot of times this is why it's really important to be doing your own internal work as well, because when we're working with clients, you do get triggered with your own stuff. Like it'll be stuff that you stuff back in there
Oh,
that
yeah.
you haven't been privy to, and your higher self's like, well, since we're at it, let's talk about this with
Yeah.
you. And then after you get off
Well,
the
two
session, then
birds
you can
with
go on
one
a
stone.
yeah, you can go on a deep dive on that later. Okay. So
Yeah. Here's some
okay.
shadow work for
Yeah,
you.
right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So what has been your biggest challenge with channeling? For
so
yourself and
yeah.
with clients, either one.
Oh, okay. So yes, well, we kind of touched on this earlier, but I would say trust. I
Mhm.
would say trust. And I would just say, you know, try to have fun with it because you know, if you're trying to control it, it's gonna block you. And so I would just say relax and trust and because I found that I wanted it too much. I found that I was trying to control it too much and it actually stopped me from receiving information. So I think the biggest challenge is just trusting what comes through. And I did a lot of affirmations in the beginning, to kind of help me with that. Like before I would do a session, I would say, I trust I will receive the perfect information. And I would just repeat that. And affirmations work for me. I know they don't work for everyone, but that was one tip that really helped me kind of relax and just say whatever came through, because you don't know until you say it out loud whether it's going to land with them or not. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
When you are, not you, just persons, and this has been my experience as well, when we are having a mistrust in ourselves, it's creating fear in our bodies. And when we have fear in our bodies, we're going into fight or flight. And then we have cortisol and adrenaline releasing in our body. And now we're in constriction mode and we're in survival mode. And channeling is the last thing that our body wants to do. It does not want to be open, it wants to be closed
Exactly.
to keep you
Yeah.
secure. So we got to learn how to just be like, you know what? This person was put in my path for a reason. Their higher self chose me.
Right. Right.
Not
They're
just the human,
keeping.
like their higher self said, girl, you need to help my human. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah, it's magic. And the thing is that we don't know. We don't know what that person is going through. We don't know what their higher self wants to communicate. We don't know what is good quality information, right? And you just don't know until you say it. And I think sometimes even the clients don't know
Mhm.
what's going to shift their life, what's going to change their life for the better until they hear it come out your mouth. So I just, I think that it's an amazing, challenging mystery and ever unfolding. And I found that, like I said, with experience, with trial and error, you can choose not to say what you're receiving,
Mhm.
and then, you can see how that goes, or you can choose to just let it flow and then watch it blow your mind and watch it blow your client's mind, you know? So that's been my experience, is just like learning from that fear, learning to let it go. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
I tell people that sometimes we're not supposed to have the right answers. Sometimes it's about holding space for others to talk about things that they're going through in life or have been through in life. That's incredibly healing. Oftentimes, I'll have sessions with people, and yeah, sometimes past life stuff comes up or spiritual gifts or whatever. And then sometimes it's just me having a real talk, one on one conversation with somebody and being their mom.
Yeah.
Be like, let me give you some real world advice.
Yeah.
Okay. Or let me tell you about my experiences I've had and some tools and resources. Like,
Right.
it doesn't always have to be this like stuffy situation, professional, like tie, like capitalism, like thing. It can just be like,
Oh,
hey, I'm a soul talking to another soul.
right.
And your higher self and your team and your inner children are here and they'll give me stuff if I need it. Otherwise, like let's just have a conversation.
Yeah. And there's all kinds of real world advice that you could give someone,
Hmm.
from this life.
Yeah.
And you know,
Sometimes that's what they need. They want the other stuff. I'm like, no, girl, you need to go wash your dishes in your sink. Okay. Like your higher
you need
self
to
said
set
your
some
house is messy.
boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's funny.
And that's me saying because I have dishes in my sink right now that I need to go wash. So just so y'all know.
And that's me saying, because I need to work on boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah. See, see, our higher self be speaking through us. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I think sometimes people just want to also, I've had a lot of people come to me and just say, crazy experiences that they've had. And I'm
Mhm.
like, yeah, this is the place to tell me
Yeah, I'm the
all
person you can
the,
tell. Tell me the
yeah,
weird, wacky stuff. Yeah.
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 And like I've met people at work, and I've given at like my day job, my 9 to 5
Mhm.
job. and I've given them readings, so I'm kind of blending the lines there a little
Mhm.
bit. But it opens the lines of communication for them to tell me about weird dreams they had or, synchronicities. And I'm like, I love this. I love
Mhm.
being the weirdo at work. Like, please come and tell me all your crazy stories that no one else will believe you, you know?
I do. People think you're weird until you're correct.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they want to come talk to you all the time about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's funny.
Oh, speaking of that, what has been the most fun aspect of channeling or getting into mediumship or just your spiritual gifts in general?
Oh, the most fun. Oh man. Okay. So I would have to say just like going outside of your comfort zone and seeing what else you can do. And the exploratory aspect for me really is just like, I have so much fun doing this. And it's because I'm getting fulfilled.
Mhm.
It lights me up, right? I'm helping people, I'm learning myself. And I think the ultimate goal is to I love that you call yourself a magic activator,
Oh,
uh, because I wanna do that too. I wanna show people
do it,
that magic
girl.
is real.
Call
You
yourself a
know
magic activator. Do
you know
it.
what I mean?
I
Like, I
do.
just yeah, empowering people to, kind of tap into their inner children, to play again, to have fun, and follow their heart, follow their excitement, and yeah, it's just it lights me up. So, I think just, testing the boundaries of what I can do,
Mhm.
exploring more and more and more and more, and and, uh, and practicing. I think, you know, like, the act of just doing it, just getting in there and working with people, and, that's how you learn. That's how you grow. That's how they learn and grow too. So, just doing, the reading
Mhm.
part is the most fun for me, so yeah.
When I show myself that I can do something that I didn't know previously, that is like the most fulfilling feeling. That is like, oh, here we go. And we're gonna go. But it's so incredibly scary stepping outside of your comfort zone. But it's the most fulfilling when you prove to yourself that it was worth it on the other side. You just gotta
Right,
get through that fear.
right, and
Yeah,
then it gives you more confidence. It's like, "What else can I do?
for
Like,
sure.
what else can we tap into? And what else can other people do?" And
Mhm.
you know what I mean? So, I don't know, and of course, meeting all the new magical friends. I mean, my friendships have doubled, tripled
Mhm.
since I started doing this work. And I think they've really, like, up leveled. And, like, my friends before I had my spiritual awakening, I mean, we'd have deep conversations and stuff, but there's just something about being able to talk to a friend about connecting with an alien, you know what I mean? There's just and knowing I'm not gonna be, like, looked at like I have 2 heads, I think well, it's a support system, you know? And so I've actually accumulated a ton of friends through this work.
I think that light workers and empaths, and this is for me too at the beginning stages, I had been pariahized for so long for being so different and hypersensitive and talking about woo woo things, which I wasn't even really talking about like the depths of what I talk about. I was like woo light with people and
Yeah,
they couldn't handle that. Okay.
yeah,
And so one of my biggest fears was that was going to increase and continue, that I was going to be persecuted and things of that nature. When in all reality, when I started being my most authentic self, is when I started having all these magical people come into my life. And they were also authentic and super confident in what they're doing, and just us all up leveling each other with the
right,
depths of friendship like you're talking about. So from two people that this is that literally happened to, you've got to continue down that path because your people are over there on the other side. It's not going to be reminiscent of these other chapters of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's really isolating when you have that fear of like, is this person gonna judge me for this?
Mhm.
Or it's really, I think a lot of people, I bet if you talk to anyone out there, they have at least one or two experiences that they're afraid to share,
Oh, sure. For
you
sure.
know? And so I think I just want to normalize the weird. I think I want to normalize the etheric, concepts and topics, and I want to talk about dragons and fairies, and I want to talk about how you predicted something in your dream and then it came true the next day, and you know what I mean?
I
Like
do.
that's kind of what I don't know. I hate the whole normalize thing because I want to keep it all weird. I want to
Mhm.
keep it weird.
Yes.
But I think it's more so of finding your group of weirdos, right? It's like because the normal stuff has a place
Mhm.
in this world for a lot of people. A lot of people don't want to talk about that stuff, and that's fine for them, right? But for people like us, I think it's so important to find their weirdos and so they don't feel judged and ostracized and like isolated in their own stuff. So I don't know. None of them are here. They're all like online and far away, but thankfully we live in an age with Zoom where
Mhm.
we can, connect with people from across the world. So that's pretty cool.
No, and you never know when you're going to meet those people in person. I always thought they were going to be online friends, and then I ended up meeting a bunch of them in 1 year. And
Oh
just
yeah.
yeah, just started meeting them on different trips and gonna host a retreat with some of my friends now. Like there's it all works out in the end, but you have to continue down that path of being polarizing with your personality, and that's
Yeah.
how your people find you.
Yeah.
We want people in our life that are being authentic and confident and standing in their magic and their power, but that means that you have to do that in order to pull them into your frequency field.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I met a lot of people through the mediumship development course. So I have met some people there in that are here and like in person. But I still have a 9 to 5 job. So I'm still going in and I'll wake up on Monday and I'll have to remind myself like, oh yeah, I am magical. You know what I mean?
I yeah. I
Oh
know
yeah.
not get too sucked down into the 3D realm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But who knows? You might have been placed in that path to help those people on their spiritual awakening journeys before you
Oh
make your
yeah.
exit out of there. Right. So
Oh yeah, I'm like I said, those lines are bleeding into one another. I've
mhm.
given my boss a reading, I've given a couple of coworkers a reading. So, and I have this line of books on my desk that's like Journey of Souls
Mhm.
and like Dolores Cannon
Feel like the
and
witch lady is in the corner office back there. The
yeah,
fortune teller back there.
yes, yes. And I love it. I am embracing that
Yeah.
more and more.
Love that. So talking about making it a little bit more tangible, what tips do you have for somebody who wants to get into channeling or even more specifically mediumship? What would be beneficial for them?
Hmm. Okay, let me see. Well, tips would be, we talked about it a little bit, but relax. In the beginning, I would say just try to have fun with it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to get everything right. Also, you don't determine what right is, you know? You
Hmm.
just gotta give what you get and see if it lands. And even if it doesn't land, like we said earlier, it could land in it could click into place a couple of months, a year down the line. So you just don't know. So I would say work on trust and what that means to you. What does trust feel like in your body? Um, when was the most time you felt trust in self, things like that. And I think I would say just try to have fun with it And the more relaxed that you can be, the better it's gonna be.
Mhm.
So just take that pressure off, give yourself permission to have fun with it, and then watch how it grows. So that's what I would say. And then, oh God, meditation, 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 meditation. Um, and I know a lot of people can't sit in silence for,
Yeah, and that's not representative of all forms of meditation either. I think sometimes we're
right,
prescribed meditation in very specific ways within spirituality. I'm like, well, you don't have to do it like that. I'm
right.
like,
It's different for everyone,
yeah.
but it's
What's your
anything.
form of meditation? That's what we need to be saying to people.
Oh,
Find
okay. Yeah.
your form of
Yeah.
meditation.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm actually really good at sitting in silence. Now, I know that's not for everyone, but I mean, I'm not saying you have to do it for 30 minutes or even 20
Mhm.
minutes. I mean, you scroll on Instagram for 15 minutes, so, you could do 5 or 10 minutes just to start out. And then there's guided meditation, there's breath work, there's active meditation, there's all kinds of different things for whatever suits you.
Mhm.
But for me, um, I do it on my lunch break. I sit in my car and sit in silence. And now I have the opposite problem. I will fall asleep. I will fall asleep sitting up, just like
Oh, same.
just nodding off in my car. And so I sometimes I have to switch it up, and I'll listen to a guided, and sometimes I'll just sit out in nature. And man, nature is kind of loud when you're outside.
Mhm.
I think I my ears get overstimulated, and so I like the silence every once in a while. And I think people have this preconceived notion that meditation is about getting rid of your thoughts. And I don't view it like that. I like to view it as like just being very aware of the thoughts that come into your mind and then letting them go. Like, don't getting attached to anything, like, because you're going to have thoughts. You can't stop them,
Mhm.
And so, I will say that once you work up to 30 minutes and an hour, you will hit this, or I have anyway, you'll hit this, like, time where your thoughts, the moments in between your thoughts get bigger and bigger, I'll say that. And so they do slow down. They won't go away. In my experience, my thoughts never go away, but they do slow down. And I can always tell that I haven't meditated in a while because I can feel it. It's like this backup of
Mhm.
energy. And there's something about it just feels so good to do. Like I feel really good after I meditate. And so, like, if I go a couple of days and I don't do it, then I can tell. I'm a little more on edge. My central nervous system is a little more activated. Um, my thoughts get really, really fast and consuming. And after I've meditated for 3 days in a row, I can tell that my reactions are slower and diminished. And I don't get so wrapped up in things. I want to say it's like I'm detached a little bit. And I think that's good for people who have anxiety and people who tend to overthink things. Meditation will change your life. That's what I'm going to say. And I think it's expanded my other abilities exponentially too, like with the mediumship and channeling people's higher selves and inner children and connecting with other beings. I think I've had some really cool experiences with dragons, and a lot of times I have this council, and they'll show up, and they always show up in threes,
Mhm.
and they have no faces, and but it's like, I don't know, it's just I've had some really interesting experiences For example, okay, I'll dabble with tarot and
The way you
I
said that. I'll dabble with
I
tarot.
dabble.
Yeah, okay.
I don't use cards as part of my readings, but I just do them for personal readings sometimes. And I got the Justice card and beforehand, and I was looking at the Justice card, and sometimes the imagery can help solidify
Mhm.
messages into your subconscious. And then I put my cards down and I meditated and oh gosh, I hope I can remember this. I got the Roman numeral XI, I think is what it was. And so I was like, that's weird. And so, of course, I get back to work. I'm Googling Roman numeral XI. What is
Mhm.
that? And it happens to correlate with the Justice card.
Oh,
It
cool.
was, yeah. And so it was like confirmation that I needed that message, from whatever the meaning of the Justice card was to me at that moment. And what's so funny is that the meanings, they can change for me depending on where I'm at or what question I'm asking or what I'm worried about at that moment, what I'm going through in my life. I think it's interesting how versatile it is.
Yeah, I could pull a tarot oracle card, same one every single day. Be a different message.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Yes. So Megan, what do your offerings look like? Like your sessions for people if they want to book one with you, what does that experience entail?
Yeah, okay. So I usually do it on Zoom and we can do 30 minutes or an hour. And basically, I'll prepare by meditating a few minutes beforehand and get whatever messages I get in that space. And then I'll get on with you. I'll give you my spiel, I like to call it, um, of how I kind of do it, what I can do, and what may come through. And then I kind of, throughout the session, I don't let you speak a whole lot. I'll say, just give me yes, no, or I don't know. And then at the end, I like to save time for feedback. And that's where, because of authenticity, I want to feed you the information instead of you feeding me.
Mhm.
So at the end is kind of where it all comes together because you'll tell me, oh, this is what that meant, this is what that meant, that didn't make sense, and so on and so forth. So basically, like I said earlier, my sessions are a mixture of connecting with your friends and family who have crossed over, providing evidence of their existence and the fact that they're around you. Sometimes they'll talk about like what you ate for breakfast that morning.
They're like watching over you.
Yeah,
Eating
yeah,
breakfast with you in the ethers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or they'll talk about like conversations that you had
Oh,
recently.
cool.
And then it's a mixture of like information about you. Like I've done career readings, I've done love readings, I've done soul purpose, gifts, spiritual gifts. So it's really a mixed bag of what can come through. Sometimes sometimes I won't get a spirit at all. Sometimes I'll just get all information about you. And a lot of times, there's some people who haven't had a whole lot of people that have crossed over in their lives. So I just don't want people to think that that's all I do. There's like so much more. And it's fun. It's fun to see where it's going to go and what I can pick up, because I think the intuitive part is a lot of it's in your auric field. And so if like you're moving or if you just lost your dog, I can pick up on that because it's all right there in your auric field. So it's on the surface. Or if you're having problems with your husband, I can like sense that about you. And it's not that a spirit is giving that to me. It's that I'm picking it up because I'm blending with your soul. So that's kind of how it works. And then I'll record it. And so you'll get a copy of the recording. And yeah, that's basically it.
Beautiful. I personally want to recommend Megan because one, I love you so very much.
Oh,
She's incredibly intentional, very sweet, very knowledgeable, very wise, more prominent in her gifts than she even realizes. Okay. And I trust her so much that my best friend wanted to get a mediumship reading, and I sent her to Megan.
yeah. What did she give you any feedback?
And she said it was fantastic. She
Oh,
said it
good.
resonate, all the things you said resonated, and she really enjoyed it. That was her first mediumship
Oh,
session
wow.
as well. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yes. But, well, I didn't want to give too much information, to get you nervous.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but I personally recommend Megan for mediumship and intuitive information
Oh,
as well. She's very gifted.
thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Where can people find you, and how do they book sessions with you?
Okay, yeah, I am on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I have a separate Facebook, a business page. It's called Healing Across Dimensions. That's my business name. So if you look up on Instagram, it's Healing X Dimensions. And on Facebook, if you look up Healing Across Dimensions, I should pull up on there. Um, and then, like we said, TikTok is under my name, Megan Tina Harrow. And to book a session, just send me a message. I don't have a website yet. I'm working on it. Um, but I hope to have a website by the end of the year. So, and then I'll blast that out all to my social media so everybody can find me there.
Awesome. And I will put all of Megan's information in the show notes underneath here and in the comments so everybody can find it.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Do you have any last words for anyone, or anything that you think that they should know, or a takeaway piece?
Oh man, just follow your heart. I think following your excitement, it will never lead you astray. Follow what lights up your soul, what lights your heart up. And I think I want to just say that it's nothing to be afraid of. I think a lot of people have some fears about what could happen, and that hasn't been my experience. In my experience in this realm of spirituality is that it's love and it's light and it's healing. And I mean, sometimes it does get a little bit heavy with, traumas and past experiences, but it's all for learning. I think it's all to make you learn and grow. And so, there's no judgment there. I'm not perfect myself. I'm still working on stuff. And so it's just a good space here in this what would you call it? Industry?
I just call them realms in this realm.
Realms.
These realms, yeah. In these spiritual streets.
Yeah, in these
Yeah.
spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, thank you, Megan. This was a lovely conversation. I enjoyed myself. I hope you did as well. That
Thank
everybody
you.
who is watching does. We appreciate y'all for joining us for this channeling chat. We hope you learned a lot today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Megan. All right, bye, y'all. See you next time. Bye.